Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Gregory Wright Show. We are in part 2 of Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of War's speech to all commanding generals and admirals around the world, their senior listed advisors and staff, hosted at Quantico, Virginia yesterday, September 30th, 2025. Today it is October 1st, 2025. We're going to get to the government shutdown business in later videos, but in my first video about Secretary Hegseth, he gave a 30,000 foot level view of the current state of the Department of War. He still believes that we are in possession of the most lethal forces in the world. We still strike with precision. We still are loyal to our allies and watchful for our enemies around the world. But we still have improvements to make. And so what Pete Hegseth is doing in this particular clip that I'm going to show you is, if you remember the first clip that I showed yesterday or 2 days ago, he was at the 30,000 foot level. Now he's bringing it down to 20,000 feet, 15,000 feet, and basically addressing the people in the room, borderline personally, right? I mean, if they don't have anything to worry about, then they don't really have a reason to freak out or have any ill will about what the Secretary of War is saying to them. But for those who do, I've already seen headlines on CNN talking about how some service members or some generals or admirals were offended by what the president and Pete Hegseth said yesterday in Quantico. But without saying too much more, let's get into the video and then we'll react throughout. Shall we?
This speech today is about people, and it's about culture. The topic today is about the nature of ourselves. Because no plan, no program, no reform, no formation will ultimately succeed unless we have the right people and the right culture at the War Department. If I've learned one core lesson in my 8 months in this job, it's that personnel is policy. Personnel is policy. The best way to take care of troops is to give them good leaders committed to the warfighting culture of the department. Not perfect leaders, good leaders. Competent, qualified, professional, agile, aggressive, innovative, risk-taking, apolitical, faithful to their oath and to the Constitution. Eugene Sledge, in his World War II memoir, wrote, quote, "War is brutish, inglorious, and a terrible waste. Combat leaves an indelible mark on those who are forced to endure it. The only redeeming factors are my comrades' incredible bravery and their devotion to each other. In combat, there are thousands of variables, as I learned in Iraq and Afghanistan, and as so many of you did in so many more places. Leaders can only control about 3 of them. You control how well you're trained, mostly how well you're equipped, and the last variable is how well you lead. After that, you're on your own. Our warfighters are entitled to be led by the best and most capable leaders. That is who we need you all to be. Even then, in combat, even if you do everything right, you may still lose people because the enemy always gets a vote. We have a sacred duty to ensure that our warriors are led by the most capable and qualified combat leaders. This is one thing you and I can control, and we owe it to the force to deliver it. For too long, we've simply not done that. The military has been forced by foolish and reckless politicians to focus on the wrong things. In many ways, this speech is about fixing decades of decay. Some of it obvious, some of it hidden. Or as the chairman has put it, we are clearing out the debris, removing the distractions, clearing the way for leaders to be leaders. You might say we're ending the war on warriors. I heard someone wrote a book about that. For too long, we've promoted too many uniformed leaders for the wrong reasons, based on their race, based on gender quotas, based on historic so-called firsts. We've pretended that combat arms and non-combat arms are the same thing. We've weeded out so-called toxic leaders under the guise of double-blind psychology assessments, promoting risk-averse, go-along-to-get-along conformists instead. You name it, the department did it. Foolish and reckless political leaders set the wrong compass heading, and we lost our way. We became the woke department, but not anymore. Right now, I'm looking out at a sea of Americans who made a choice when they were young men and young women to do something most Americans will not, to serve something greater than yourself, to fight for God and country, for freedom and the Constitution. You made a choice to serve when others did not, and I commend you. You are truly the best of America. But this does not mean, and this goes for all of us, that our path to this auditorium on this day was a straight line, or that the conditions of the formations we lead are where we want them to be. You love your country, and we love this uniform, which is why we must do better. We just have to be honest. We have to say with our mouths what we see with our eyes, to just tell it like it is in plain English, to point out the obvious things right in front of us. That's what leaders must do. We cannot go another day without directly addressing the plank in our own eye, without addressing the problems in our own commands and in our own formations. This administration has done a great deal from day one to remove the social justice, politically correct, and toxic ideological garbage that had infected our department, to rip out the politics. No more identity months, DEI offices, dudes in dresses. No more climate change worship. No more division, distraction, or gender delusions. No more debris. As I've said before, and will say again, we are done with that shit.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there, and I got to tell you, he's already bringing it down from the 20,000 foot level even further down to 15 and 10, because now he's about to cook. He's about to cook on what the current or what the past administration, Biden-Harris, has done to the military. Lloyd Austin was a complete incompetent individual. He didn't even tell the president of the United States that he was going into the hospital for surgery. And so, let alone lead an Afghanistan withdrawal in 2021. Okay? So Pete Hegseth is a complete 180 from Lloyd Austin. But he's about to get into the nooks and crannies of what type of cultural ills he's referring to. You already said men in dresses and all that, and if you want to wear a beard, but he's going to dive in more specifically on those subjects and subjects that are related. So, hey, if you like the content, please like, share, subscribe. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.